Welcome back to Carl's Corner, where we discuss sports and social issues that they're related to and knowing that the block stays hot. Today, we have my co host, Stevie Johnson, and special guest, Reggie Ward, to discuss an important topic. The WNBA season is in full swing. And of course, the debate has started on who's the best player, who's bringing in all the attention and the revenue, but most importantly, the debate of Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, who's better. We want to discuss their impact on and off the floor and the controversy surrounding their play since they squared off initially in the national championship game at LSU up into the last couple of weeks when they played. Before we get started, we want everyone to understand that the women's game should be enjoyed and we should celebrate them as the best athletes in the world in women's basketball. And with that, we're going to get started and have this debate. You guys, if you want to start, let's just kind of roll it back to what kind of got this started. We know they squared off in college. We've all spent considerable time in Iowa. So we even understand the mindset. As Reggie's a grad of the University of Iowa, Stevie and I obviously of Iowa State, but we understand how rabid Iowa fans are about their athletics. So during this encounter in that national championship game, now we know prior to the national championship game, momentum was building for Clark as she's selling out arenas her junior year, because her freshman year, people saw her, sophomore year, people saw her, but this third year, prior to that national championship game, she was starting to sell out arenas. But when she caught fire during the tournament, everything changed, which led to, first we'll talk about the semifinal game. They beat South Carolina and Don Staley. They had not lost a game that year and were defending national champions. So that was a big deal. And then they get into the national championship game against LSU and Angel Reese. And we just want to talk about what happened, why Iowa fans and the rest of the country galvanized themselves behind her. And then we'll bring it up to the present day.
Go ahead, Rich.
All right. Yeah. So, Carl, I think it's a great introduction to that. And I think looking at, like I said, from going from back then to where we are now, obviously, I think a lot of it was around that whole, this you can't see me, right? That Caitlin had done, prior. And so it's kind of like one of those things we talk about a lot of time, when we're talking about Caitlin, it's always, everybody loves her passion and, what she's doing is all, in terms of is lifting the game, it's bringing people, bringing fans to the game. And when she did it, it was highlighted, right? It was celebrated as a way to do it. And again, I don't think when I saw it, I didn't think too much of it. I'd seen it before, from players here and there, but it caught fire, right? And then when you go through and you speed it up, like you said, you go through and even to the point to where I know you didn't mention it, but when she went through and Raven Johnson, she went to and kind of like like she wasn't even going to defend her, like I'm not even going to defend her, like whatever. People didn't see that as kind of side of disrespect. And again, if she can't shoot, she can't shoot. And I again didn't have an issue with it that she did it, but it was like, we go 360, and now Angel Reese in the championship game when they're basically taking Iowa to the to the outhouse, right? And beating the brakes off of them. Then it becomes Angel gets this opportunity to be able to do the same thing, and then it was completely backlash. It was completely backlash at why was she there? It was so disrespectful. I mean, I remember seeing the comments from my social media pages, all this negativity around, this idea that how could she just go do that, right? And as opposed to it being all in fun and in the same gesture of being passionate about the game and being happy that their team had had won or had defeated them. And again, where Angel was coming from that standpoint, so we will never know. I mean, I've never heard her say, it seems like for me, I know that again, when we'll get into some of the dynamics of where they are now in the NBA, WNBA, about their relationship and the dislike or whatever. I didn't see it as a dislike. It seemed like they had, it was, like more of a fun banter type thing. Did she mean much more by it? I don't know. But again, that was the backlash. And so I guess you guys can take it from there, but I didn't see it as a necessarily reason to then create all this hate, which I think that is spawned on. So as the rise of Caitlyn has gone on, where the national media, the national, obviously, that we talk about the Iowa, the locale, and me being at Iowa, just knowing how, crazy we can get about our players, and she's a hometown girl, from the state of Iowa, that we everybody jumped on that bandwagon, and obviously you've seen all the stars, and she's getting all this commercials, so the immediate rise that she had, then coupled with this, again, let's call it what it is, this black female that basically was shoving it back in her face, and everyone took exception, and then she's been the villain ever since.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's difficult sometimes, because when we was playing, or when I was playing in college, we didn't do that. That taunting or going back and forth was considered it was more of a taboo thing.
Right.
Now, all the kids are branding themselves. So after every point, you're gonna do some type of threes, or you score on somebody, you're gonna do the too small.
Right. Right.
It's coming like after every play now. That's what we see. Yeah. So when I'm watching a game, I don't care. Caitlin Clark deserves all the credit and all the recognition she's getting. That girl has worked. For her to be as good as shooting in the game, she's done a lot of work to get there. So right. we don't have to knock down Angel or knock down Caitlin, because we don't have to do that. And I don't think we as us, we don't look at it that way.
Right.
We're able to see at the time these girls are 19, 20 years old.
Right.
And I'm 46, 47 years old now. What I did when I was 19 years old, I hope people don't still hold it against me. Right. You know what I mean? So we have made Angel Reese, and I don't want to jump ahead, but I got a chance to go to a game and see Angel recently. But we have made her out to be the villain. And all these girls and then it was so sad for me to see her, and she should be celebrated, and she should be so happy the end of her career at LSU, about all the hate and backlash she got over this. Now, It's great for the WNBA, because now we go back to, what was it, 79, Carl, you better, with when we had Bird and Magic.
Bird and Magic,
that was the most watched NCAA game for the longest ever, Yeah. Now we got these girls who have really, this whole Caitlin versus Angel has made the WNBA skyrocket. Yeah, it's marketing genius, but we have to think about, these are real human beings. These are not, people really hate. People really, now, when we was coming up, people just couldn't get to you so easy. We got so much social media. Now I can go on and say whatever I want to say about y'all and have it out there for everybody to see it. And now everybody can talk about it. So to me, it's just really sad that we're not praising these girls for what they're able to do and bring new heights to the game that we've never seen before. Right. And for me, I take it back. I want you to go, Carl. I think back to, I think in 1996, when our women team went over and started the Olympics. We had Lisa Leslie and all those great women, and Cheryl Swoop, all those women who paved the way. And now we got a league in the United States that they can play in. If it wasn't for all these women, we wouldn't even have the WNBA. And I know, as an athlete, as a player, I can understand how it's going to be some resentment there. Caitlin Clark comes, she's getting all this attention, blah, blah. And everybody's saying, oh, she's saving the league, which is, when we think, in a sense, she has. But to me, it's a bit race based.
Yeah.
You know, we got to have a villain, which is Angel Reese, this black girl. Now we got this white woman who can play. I don't even look at them like that. Caitlin, if she was white, black, or whatever, she would still be one of the best players we've ever seen. You know, I don't think we need that, but they've made it that, and now here we are. And we got these two girls, and I don't think they hate each other. I think they play together in like some USC team in the summer, you know, but when you keep
an All-Star game last year too, the All-Star game last year.
Yeah, if I keep hearing, oh, Reggie and Carl are better than you at this, and they're the reason why we're doing this, when you putting all your sweat into it, you're gonna have a little resentment. Right. So it's the media fault. A lot of this is totally media based. But now people have just taken it to a whole different dimension, and it's a little sad to me.
Right.
You and me both. Well, and I think what people didn't understand, and some of this might have been some of their being slightly naive when they would always compare it to Bird and Magic. The reason that was such a big deal, especially in 1978, 1979, is because we were just coming out of legal segregation. And we have the NCAA putting college basketball on a larger platform. And you have two of the biggest players in the game, one black, one white, poised to play one another. And so when people say it's like Bird and Magic, it wasn't just Bird and Magic playing ball. It was Bird and Magic, what they represented. Bird being white and Magic being black. So then when people turn around and say, well, it's not a black-white thing, then don't say Bird and Magic, because that's exactly what it is or was. And now, even with this, and we have some who are white and like Angel Reese and some who are black and like Caitlin Clark or Cheer, but what it's become even today is a black-white issue. And when Angel, this is what they said. I'll never forget in real time what people were so angry at. She followed her around the court and kept pointing at her hand. She didn't touch her. She didn't knuckle up. All she did is make sure that she saw her, point to her ring, and say she couldn't see her. If that it makes you mad enough to as you talk about, Stevie, for people to boo her at a WNBA game, or for her to become the villain of the women's game, then we are soft. But again, I say that on the heels of, it's funny to hear people talk about their generation and how this generation is soft. We can talk to our parents. Black people couldn't get in a pool with white folks. They were triggered if we drank from the same water fountain. So don't talk to me about being soft and not being able to handle stuff, because every generation was triggered by something. But we shouldn't get so soft where we're triggered that somebody pointed to their hand or put a hand in front of their face. That speaks to something else, which we know it is, even though people won't say it. That's something else deep-seated in your heart that you have a real issue with, because you did not care when Caitlin did that to other players. Or when she disrespected Raven and said, I don't even have to guard her.
Guard you,
So again, we can't say that some actions, but we can. And even before I say some actions are good for some and not for others, because that's what's happening right now in Trump's America. It doesn't matter what he does. He said it on the campaign during his first run. I can shoot someone on 4th Avenue and I would still get elected. So we've gotten to the point where as long as it's our favored person, they can do whatever they want and it's not considered wrong. We have to, when it's wrong or it's disrespectful, or if it's nasty, we got to keep it a buck for everyone. If not, let it go and let's keep it moving. But let's enjoy the sport and not get caught up on it was a hand in the face or she followed it. Go ahead, Brad.
Well, no, and I think that's a great point too, Carl. And then, and Stevie, certainly want to hear what you think about this as well, because that dynamic, like you said, that becomes this thing where it's the disrespect and then there's the racial aspect, but then the difference in their games is so aesthetically different, right? And this is something
you can't compare the two.
You can't compare the two. So I get it, and I watch, and I've seen Angel, and she gets knocked, and people are, like I said, on the Caitlin side, just knocking her because she's missing layups, and they want to blame her, like she get all her rebounds from her own missed shots, which is, it happens. But I think if you go and you look at any kind of thing, you played basketball, right? You know, the big men, the people down low, they just don't have they don't usually don't have the same appeal as the guards, the ones that have the move, that handle the ball a lot more. So the shot making from like we talked about it, Carl, before, like, you know, Rudy Gobert is it doesn't look the same, right? It doesn't
Yeah,
look the same. But
not
he brings the other aspects of the game, the rebounding, the defensive prowess, right? The just shots, some of the things that don't always get, you know, if you watch Angel Reese, if you are a basketball fan, that's where I'm like, when I think about this discussion, if you're a true WNBA fan and you don't like the tenacity that Angel Reese approaches the game every game and every play, it just ain't real, because she's out there on the floor, she's scrapping, she's playing defense, she's trying her best. And yeah, she doesn't have this aesthetically pleasing jump shot, but you go to, like I said, you go to other, you know, to, you know, at any level, the players down low, they just don't do that. You know, if you're talking about a center or a power forward, they just don't have that type of skill set necessarily, right? So then you see all these people that are just knocking her for, you know, the missed layups or whatever, because it doesn't look the same, you know. So I guess I just wanted to throw that out there, because I mean, I feel like that's the hate. And Steve, you just went to the game. I don't know if I know you talk about they booed her at the free throw line, but it's like, man, can you just give this girl? I mean, she just hit this record that should be celebrated, the fastest player in WNBA history to 500 rebounds and 500 points. But it gets overshadowed because of all the negative attention that she's getting.
And that's a great point. And I think that it's like when we try to compare eras in basketball and some of our favorite players. It's not the same. They're
Right.
two different positions, and you just can't compare. I think Angel Reese is a lot more raw on the basketball. She still have a lot of polish and she can do. Her game is completely different. She played like she need angles to score, so she do a lot of scoop here.
Yeah.
Instead of with her height, she should have it up here. But it's impossible to teach her that now. She's been doing this her entire life. You know, so her skill set and what they need her to do is this: rebound, defend. She's also bringing the ball up the court now, which helps, because you have a lot of big women that can do that. She's a good passer, you know, but you can't compare her and Caitlin. They're not comparable on the court for what they do, but what Angel Reese do for her team, they need that to win.
Yes.
You know what Caitlin is doing for her team is needed. Caitlin she's like your Steph Curry over there of the women game. She can shoot the deep ball. She has a great shot. She can pass it. She can do it all on the court. Defensively, I don't think she's gonna, you know, that's gonna be one of her. Nobody's a perfect player. That's gonna be her knocks, you know, maybe on the defensive end, but it's sad that they're comparing them like that. It's for marketing for me. You know, Angel Reese is not. It's looking at her game. It's not going to be the same as looking at Caitlin. It's always your wide receivers, your running quarterbacks. They don't get the big offensive lineman for what they do. They don't get the same, you know, looks or the credit.
What they're
doing on the court is just as important as the skill guys.
Right.
So it's just different, and yeah, I see that, and I usually don't read that stuff. My brother, he's a diehard Angel Reese fan, and he usually tells me, and I'm like, I try to explain to him, like, dude, you can't, that's apple and oranges. You shouldn't be comparing them. Yeah. They're both doing great. They both have elevated the game, you know, and we should be celebrating them both.
Well, and you're spot on, because Angel averages like 13 points and 13 rebounds.
Yeah.
Caitlin averages 20 points and 10 assists. So they're both averaging a triple-double. But for anyone who plays basketball, anyone who understands championship basketball, at some point, you need an Angel Reese on your team. You have to have someone who can defend defend to the point where they're willing to sacrifice points to stop their person from scoring. Caitlin is awesome shooting the ball from anywhere in the gym. But at some point, if there's one thing about her game that she has to develop, if she wants her team to win, is she's got to want to play a little more defense. So we can celebrate great offense and then celebrate great defense. And then if they play against each other, we should still want the game to be played where whoever scores the most points wins. But the object of the game, if you are on the court playing against someone, is to defend to the point where they don't score as much as you at the end of the day.
Right.
And so why don't we celebrate Angel for doing the dirty work? She is a 13-13 machine currently. And Caitlin is a great passer and a great scorer. And that should be where we leave it. They don't play the same position. So what we should do is, if we talk about comparing her, let's start comparing her this year, Caitlin, to my girl Kelsey Plum. Because Caitlin had to pass Kelsey Plum to become the #1 lead scorer. And now Kelsey is on a team, the Sparks, where she can score. So let's compare guards to guards and bigs to
guards to guard. Yeah, because Stevie, and maybe Carl, you might be the same too, because I always think about Angel Reese, and I try to look at somebody that's comparable that I remember. And I do this with respect. She reminds me kind of like Dennis Rodman, right?
Absolutely.
Where he just high energy on the boards. He's defending, but his shot did not look very good. That wasn't like he says, that wasn't the role that he played on his team. She is not expected to come out there and shoot 20. Right. That's just not, what she's expected to do. She plays a different role. So that's my comparable when I think about them.
That's I hadn't thought of that, but that's a very good comparable. That because people don't understand how great Dennis Rodman was.
Yes.
When you can become a Hall of Famer for defending and rebounding. When you make that look good, when you make that sexy, because it's sexy to come cross half court and shoot a 3-pointer. That's where we go crazy. To block somebody out and go get a rebound.
Right.
You're supposed to do that.
Yeah. Right. Those are the fundamentals of the game.
Right. But every play, well, how's these guys getting these offensive rebounds if everybody's blocking out and going rebound?
Right. Right.
So you can't have it both ways. When I was at Iowa State, I was a role player. My role was to defend and rebound. I hated it. I thought I could do so much more, but that was my role. So I tried to do it to my best ability, and I had to think in my mind, this is going to help the team win. And you got to be a dog. You got to do this, this, and this. That's your contribution to the team. You're not able to score. They don't want you to do this or that, whatever. You do this as best you can. I think with her skill set and what she is, I think she's doing a fabulous job at what she's doing. I would like her to do.
Because you were a scorer in high school, right?
We're not going to have that conversation. And I forgot how to do it for 4 years. But as soon as I got to Iceland, I averaged 34 points. Like I just forgot how to score for a couple of years.
Right.
Back, but it happens. We don't even want to go there. But it is, to me, just I want to see Caitlin play, and I want to see Angel play. If they're on the TV, not playing each other or whatever, I can enjoy both of their games because I understand basketball.
Right, absolutely.
And I just it's so sad to me. I love it that the women's sport is getting their attention, and what people don't realize, a lot of hate is coming toward Angel Reese. Also, it's a lot of hate and resentment towards Caitlin because of how the media have put her.
Right.
So you just think about the Lisa Leslies, the Cheryl Millers, all these great players who came before her, and they said, "Oh, she saved the WNBA, or she did these."
Right.
These women got to take a little slight to that.
Yes.
They stand on our shoulders. These women.
Right. There's no way we could be doing whatever you do if podcasting was what we did. And somebody said, "Oh, Carl has done such a great job. He has done this, and this in the podcast." But then I gotta bring you down to celebrate this other guy, and he didn't do what this guy did. Well, somebody actually started it, So I can understand why. If you watch every game, somebody's getting into it with Caitlin. Every game, somebody's getting into it. It's not that it's got to be something there. They pick up the paper, they watch the news, ESPN. If Caitlin's playing, they talking about Caitlin, so that they want to prove to her The last game she played, the girl from the Liberty made a defensive stop. She was so excited at the end of the game for being able to stop Caitlin from getting the shot up. You know, it was like, yeah, you know, because I just stopped God. You guys have you guys have put her up here, but she's just like us.
Yep.
You know, and she's got to. So every game, it's kind of like the ball father, how much pressure he had put on his kid. So they wanted to play so hard against Lonzo and all those guys because everybody, you know, he was hyping them up. So that she's going to get everybody's best, but Caitlin is ready for it. She can handle it. She's a big girl, you know, and it's just sad, and, you know, but people don't get it, you know, they just don't get it.
Well, I like the word you used, their contribution, the contribution that each put forth on the court. Because at the end of the day, Caitlin can't play off 5 positions. Angel can't play off 5 positions. So you want to have the contribution from each to the point where it puts you on a championship team. And so that, I just think that's what people have to understand. It's a contribution by each and every person. And if you're not getting that contribution, then you have to figure out whether you be a teammate or a coaching staff, how you get the best out of your team so you can play for championships. Because if for nothing else, Angel can say she's been on a championship team and she played her role. And that is, that again, it's no slight to someone else that didn't get a championship, but winning a championship takes everyone effort and contribution in order to garner that. And now that they're in the pros, we hope they both at some point win championships, but they should be celebrated for what they bring to the table.
And and Carl, I think you were kind of saying that. I don't know if you were going down that road when you were thinking about, you know, like people watching for one person. That's another part of that this thing is like, so when Angel goes through and says, hey, they're watching me too. I mean, they are watching her.
They are.
You know what I'm saying? They are. They may not be watching at the same extent. I can acknowledge that. But to think that they're not, and I think, and Stevie, you were kind of going like, and not in this, you know, kind of dismissing the history of the WNBA. Yes, hasn't been nowhere near the NBA's level. It's just not, right? It's still a relatively young league, but it's been around. And I think, Carl, you talked about it when me and you have talked before. I mean, Cheryl Swoops, Cynthia Cooper. I mean, there's players that have been out there, Rebecca Lobo, you know, Della Dawn. I mean, there's been Maya Moore who stopped early. But just imagine if she was still playing, because she could still probably play to this day. There's been so many high quality WNBA players over the years that we've now diminished it to this idea that there's this savior to the WNBA. Yes, it may be something that is going to put them on a trajectory to be able to make money, right? I mean, make money and be sustainable and not to be subsidized so much by the NBA or other things. So it is great to see, and I think everyone can celebrate the idea that the following that Caitlin has gotten, and again, they wanted to go last year. They wanted to give her credit right away for the charter flights, which was already in the works. But it was like, and it's like, this idea, that everybody needs to fawn over her because of what she's somehow done to save the game. And it's like, man, it takes everybody on these leagues and all these players to be able to, because like, I think you said it. I mean, to see Kelsey Plum is just, great. I mean, Nafisa Collier. I mean, if you don't, to
you don't know who these women are. You ain't really watching women's basketball.
You ain't watching women. And at the end of the day, as much as Caitlin may have this following, I don't care. And I'll stand on this, and Stevie, you can jump in there. But if you tell me that Caitlin is a better player than Asia Wilson and Nafisa Collier, I can't, because they play both ends of the court. And, I mean, Collier's been a defensive player of the year, and she's out here leading the league in scoring. I mean, like, so the impact, again, great impact that she's made. But there are some superstars in the WNBA that we really got to highlight as well to bring this game, to where it's going.
I'm so happy for the ladies that they're getting all this attention, and Caitlin deserves a lot of the credit, whether it be hate, whatever is feeling to view in. I mean, they're selling out arenas. They haven't done that before, and that's great. Whatever gets people to, because if you watch, it's a good game of basketball. I tell anybody, if I'm going to teach my son how to play sports basketball, I'm going to let him watch the women. They're fundamentally better. They don't have the athleticism as the men, and everything they do is going to be step by step. I'm going to have my form. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So if you love basketball, you'll love to see it. And to me, it's great where they're at. But I think about all the great women. They act like, and I hate to keep talking about race, but I just feel like they're like Kayla was like, came out of nowhere. And she's
right.
And we have this white savior of the league.
Yes.
I don't
you
know
said it. You said it.
I don't know if you ever watched Diana Taurasi.
Or Sue Bird.
Right.
Or
Sue Bird was my girl. But Diana was like that. Keep going, Frog. My bad.
Brianna Stewart.
Brianna Stewart.
Like these women have been the best in the league. Y'all help me. I'm thinking like our last 5 or 6 great WNBA players, they were white.
We're white women.
Asia came in here and took over.
But
we had Brianna, we had Sue Bird, we had Diana Taurasi, we had all these girls. Maya Moore was in between that run.
Right.
And I mean, those women, that's why Diana, it was so hard. Diana, it was kind of some friction with her and Caitlin. Because I got the opportunity when I was in Spain to watch Diana. She was playing in when you're overseas, they have a European Cup, like the Final Four. If your team is good enough to make it into the Euro Cup, so I got a chance to see them in the Euro Cup and spend a little time with them. It was her and Sue Bird was playing for the Russian team. Sylvia Files was playing for another team, and my friend girls was playing for the Spanish team. And it was just it was different. Diana was different. Yeah. If you ever got a chance to see her play, she was. I hate to say it like this, but she played like a man. Her handles and the way she moved on the court, it was different.
It was different.
It was different, and I know they feel a certain way because unfortunately they didn't get the publicity. They didn't get to have this to be celebrated like this. I feel. And that's why you get some resentment toward Caitlin. But it's not Caitlin's fault. She haven't wrote one article about herself in the paper. She haven't called into ESPN and said, hey, you guys need to talk about me. So people love ratings, and she bring the ratings. She bring the rating, and I'm happy for her, but we don't have to put down these other players to lift her up.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what people have to understand. When I hear white people say, you guys are just mad that a white girl is dominating.
They've been dominating. What do you get?
Yeah, no one was mad that Brianna Stewart won 4 national championships and got 4 MOP. We just understood that's what it is. No one cared that Diana Taurasi was called the White Mamba or the female Kobe Bryant. No, we understood. She earned it in the trenches. The issue becomes, especially for these women, they don't want to be looked at as they weren't as talented. That's the issue. You guys can watch all you want. Just understand, we have always been that good. And Caitlin will tell you, Maya Moore was the greatest player I ever saw. Coming from her, Maya Moore was who she wanted to be like. She wanted to go to UConn because Maya Moore. So there have always been great players. The problem becomes is they didn't get the platform to showcase their skills. And so when people even talk about the money Caitlin's bringing, I kind of laugh because they're selling out arenas, and the people making the real money are only the owners until they get the TV deals, because until they're on nationally televised games, the league won't make money. So I guess you first have to start with selling out the arena. But what people have to understand, when they're hyped that the arenas are selling out, just understand the owners of the teams are the ones making the money today and will be making the money tomorrow. The only way these women will make money is if you guys stop saying, I'm only going to watch when Caitlin Clark plays. They
Yeah.
have to have a reason to put it on television so you can watch the other great players. So now that money can be bought. So you're actually, and I'm talking to the larger public, you're actually hindering the trajectory of these women if you refuse to turn it on, if you don't want it to be on certain platforms, digitally. But for these women to get paid, because less people watch the NBA today, but you know why the NBA is making money hand over foot? They got multi-billion-dollar television deals. They're being played ad nauseum. That trickles down to the players. So I think, and my challenge to the casual viewer is stop saying you'll only watch when Caitlin's playing. Right now, Caitlin is out for a couple weeks. Stop saying I'm not going to watch it until she gets back, because you're going to hurt the rest of the league.
Yeah,
they need you to watch.
If you love basketball, because the game I got to go to was the Sparks versus the Sky, and I'm a big Kelsey Plum fan. I love. She's smooth. She just. It seemed like she was just going along, cause she had like 5, 6, maybe 10 points. Nothing was going on. Boom, boom, boom. She's got 25, like 3 or 4 threes in a row. And people, the game is so much different. Gino wouldn't let Diana shoot the ball from half court.
No, you're not shooting 23 times.
That was a bad shot.
Right, it's a bad shot.
Steph Curry has made it now where kids think they can get into the gym.
Yeah,
that's a horrible shot. If you made me shoot the ball 30 feet out, then you play great defense. If that's the best shot we can get, I as an offensive player, I think you can't make me shoot it from out there. Right. Oh, I can shoot it from here, but you can't make. I'm going to get where I want to get on the court.
Right. Yep.
You know.
Yeah, and and Stephen, as you say that, it made me think about something because I think when we think about this whole dynamic, because I feel like I'm an objective person in terms of looking at something. I watch a lot of games. Both NBA, women's, NFL. I watch sports. I'm a big fan, and even when you go through, and I don't know how much you look at the numbers, but like for me, it's great to see Caitlin go through and make this 30-foot shot, but she's shooting it at a low percentage. Right. I know everybody. I know that's what they show. They show the 2 or 3 makes on SportsCenter. But they don't show the 7 or 8 misses that she has, right? And so for the aesthetic fan, that casual fan that sees this 30-foot shot and the crowd goes crazy, but to see her miss and miss and miss, it's like that's overshadowed, right? They don't show that because, like to your point, everybody can't be heard. I'm glad that I don't see a lot of the women's game where there's a lot of players shooting shots like that, because if you go to the NBA, you see a lot of people trying to mimic Steph Curry. I mean, even LeBron out there trying to shoot 30-foot shots.
Yeah.
For what? Because like you said, Steve, it's not a good shot. And for me, and like I know when sometimes I'll get on and I'll mention that to some people, and people kill me for like, you're hating on Caitlin, but it's like, it's not even for her, the one that can make it, it's not a good shot for her. I mean, this year she's shooting less than 30% from 3. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I don't want to cut you off or stop your point, but I just wanted to say, like, if I'm on her team and we needed a basket and she shot that ball from 30 feet, I'm gonna be the one go say it. Like, I'm like 5s and 10s. I know I can come set your screen. We can get you close.
Yes.
We can get
a higher percentage.
In the WNBA, that's like you're dumb.
Yes.
From way out there. You know, you got Sabrina, and that's good. She also can shoot it deep.
Yes.
She'll shoot it. She was there doing it before Caitlin. She was shooting it from way out there, which it's just a different mentality. And I tell anybody when I was coming in, let me say this real quick so I can give it back to y'all. When I was overseas, I kind of got to see the changing of the guard. I tell anybody, Allen Iverson is one of my favorite players, but he kind of hurt American basketball. And Steph Curry has hurt American basketball. And this is the reason why. Because people think that they can come in the gym. Hey, I was doing this. He wasn't following through. So we had all the kids trying to cross it over and do that, and not on your phone. They don't understand that Allen Iverson was a freak of nature.
Right.
He's the fastest person on the court.
Yes.
Like, and one of my teammates when I was in Spain, my third year, he got the chance to one of our American teams that lost, that Allen Iverson on, he was playing for the Canadian team with Steve Nash. And I said, man, tell me about it, you know, blah, blah. He said the only person we feared was Allen Iverson. I said, why? He said, Stevie, you don't understand. Like, Steve Nash is fast. Allen Iverson is a blur. Like, he is like, he said, I never seen my man named Jesse Young. Shout out to Jesse. He said, I've never seen, Jesse was like 6'10" big guy. I've never seen anything like that. Allen scared us. We wasn't scared of anybody else, but we couldn't stay in front of him. You know, he could do too much. So Allen Iverson, and now you got Steph Curry. People don't understand. Steph's daddy was one of the best shooters we've ever seen. Steph's brother is breaking 3-point records in the league. This is some genetic and a lot of work. If you want to shoot that ball out there from 30 feet, you better be shooting thousands of them from 30 feet.
Right.
You know, Steph can do, if you don't guard Steph, he can literally, it's effortless for him. For some younger kid coming to the gym, they're gonna have to do just to get it up there. That's not good. Steph is, we will never see another Steph Curry in our lifetime. You know, so people don't understand exactly what you're saying. I don't even look at what Caitlin shoot. I'm too a fan, so I can't wait for her to shoot one out there for 30 feet and hit it. You know, I'm cheering and whatever. But if I was on her team, I'd be a little pissed. Like, Caitlin, we can get a better shot than that. You know, the game is on the line. We do that first 2 quarters, but third and fourth, you know, unless they're trapping you or something, I don't know, you know, and that's just the best shot we can get. I think we can get a better one than that.
And that's really what it becomes. You want to win. And so, again, you have the opposing players at some level feeling some sort of way because they are giving one player all the attention. But they're also saying, this is the example. When Brittany Griner was coming into the league, when Lisa Leslie was there before, they didn't even want women to dunk because what it was going to do is take away from the game. Then people were going to say they should just be dunking all the time. And so I think what people lose sight of, if you have a female coming in shooting these long shots, they don't want to happen to their game what's happened to the men's game, where it's become just a three-point
shooting contest.
It takes away from the setting screens, moving, you just the flow of the game in the women's game is fun to watch because they play the game on the floor. So they didn't want women to dunk because they were afraid people would only watch for this sideshow. Well, unfortunately, now people are only watching for this sideshow of shooting logo threes. It's a beautiful game, folks. Watch the game for the skill these women have from baseline to baseline. You were going to say something, Reg? Were you going to say something? Okay.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. It's just, again, I think people are missing. Those special moves are for the individual. It shouldn't be everyone's expected to do what the most popular player does. That doesn't make good sense.
If you really love basketball, I look at other things. Caitlin's a great passer.
Yes, she is.
Like left hand, people don't understand. Like Steph Curry is a great passer. He'll take away his left hand, throw it all across the court. It's the small things that she do that I love. It's not just the 3-point shot. She's a great basketball player. You know, that's the exciting part to see her shoot 30 feet, but she do a little bit of everything, you know, and she should be, like I said, we all think she should be celebrated. You know, I just don't think we need all the hate.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to hate Angel Reese to praise Caitlin Clark. I can praise both of those young ladies. And for anybody who ever won any type of championship, whether it was junior high or whatever, you know how extremely hard it is. Yeah. So if Angel Reese winning, followed her around, she was excited. She's 18, 19 years old. Like, what are you like, you want her to do?
So Stevie, do you think though, in that same breath, do you feel like, so you don't even think that they're giving her too much credit or they're giving her too much fanfare Because it seems like, I mean, I watched the game last night, and she didn't play, and you know, it was a good game. It was, it was a good game. I mean, I know they lost, but it was a good game, in some ways. I mean, they lost, so then I think people were like, "Oh my gosh, the sky is falling because Caitlin's not there." But I saw some players, some of the rookies from the Wizards that they're playing really good. Ifron and Centron, like there was some good play on the opposite side, and so you saw a good game. But they talk about Caitlin over and over. And every time something happened, there's some reference to Caitlin. It's like the announcers can't even get through a game without, overemphasizing and bringing up some. I'm like, she's not even on the floor. Show these ladies on the court. They're just due. But they're all trying to do some comparison to, well, she's not here. And I mean, I felt like I heard it 10 times in a game that we all knew she wasn't going to play. So Steve, I don't know, Carl, I just feel like it's just so oversaturated with, the commentary.
But that's what sells, unfortunately. Unfortunately, like if I was one of the women playing, I would be pissed. Just like they can't
right, they're all pissed.
They can't wait to play against Caitlin to prove that I'm just as good, or I'm going to show you, we're going to beat her, or I'm going to, elbow her, I'm going to do whatever, because that's all they hear. But that's what people want to hear. That's why they tune in. If she's not going to play, we got to at least mention, hey, they would be better from the 3-point line. That unfortunately, that's why I think there's so much resentment toward her by her fellow players, because they do hear it all the time. They do think, hey, I'm pretty good too. I'm in the WNBA as well.
Right.
I want to be talked about too. We never hear anything about Asia.
Yeah, no, we don't.
Not nearly enough. Right.
Okay, she's won the just think about it. She's won the last few championships, MVPs.
Yeah.
We don't hear anything about her. So you think when they get a chance to play the Fever, like you're gonna get the best.
Yeah,
they're gonna try to knock Caitlin down because
think they just lost to the defending champions, and they're still not talking about Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu as the defending champs.
Right.
Yeah.
They're still talking about Caitlin, but that's again, you as a casual observer, I'm talking to you. You have to learn and appreciate some of these other players because the league is chock full of some of the best women to ever play in the college ranks to go on to play now in the WNBA. You bring up Kiki from the Mystics, Ifran.
Yeah.
He's awesome. But the fact that they're just not talked about. I mean, at some point, there needs to be a mandate that they start appreciating and highlighting some of these other female athletes because they are the best in the world.
I got a chance to watch, since I'm out here in California, to see Kiki with Juju.
Yeah.
All we heard about was Juju.
Yeah.
When Juju went down, you got a chance to see how good Kiki was. I saw in the tournament, she's tough. And I didn't appreciate her like I should have before.
I'm glad she transferred there because the year before she was getting buckets. So I was hoping that they would win a national championship.
They would have had a great chance.
They would have had a great chance
if she didn't get hurt. But I'm rooting for her because I saw how good she was. I didn't even know it, until last season. And I'm like, yeah, she's tough. She's really good. And like I said, that's the WNBA is in good hands. They keep getting great players. And with Caitlin, I to go back to what you said, Reggie, like, do I think they, I give her all the credit you want to give her. That doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me. Whatever gets people eyes on the game, let's do it. If we got to talk and say Caitlin name 15 times during the game and she home or she's doing a State Farm commercial, I don't care. Whatever you got to, let's get these people to enjoy these women, because what the women want, so they don't have to go overseas and play.
Right.
The WNBA would change if they can get it to where, like Carl said, you got the TV deal. These ladies don't have to go over there and play. They can stay at home. The season will be longer then because it's a summer thing because they make all their money overseas.
Right.
So if they can get it to where people can appreciate that game, and they would love that, and that's ultimately the end game. You know,
Well,
and that's what I would like to see happen.
Did you ever get a chance? I mean, I don't know if you guys got a chance to see any of the Unrivaled. I mean, that allowed them. I mean, I know obviously you wanted to come from one sport and not have to supplement necessarily, but the Unrivaled League did seem like it's paying them enough for them not to have most of the players didn't have to go overseas this past year.
Payday these women had at once. This was,
well,
it had a weird look to it, but I mean, for me, I watched a couple of the games and they were entertained. I was entertained by it. It was different watching them go 3-on-3 on this kind of modified kind of court, but it was entertaining, at times.
They're trying to do something to get it, but when I tell you those ladies for the full basketball season, when I haven't played in 13, 14 years, some of my friend girls was making $50,000 a month. See, like they make their money over there because they appreciate it. Like soccer might be the number one sport, but they love basketball too.
Right.
And they was well taken care of over there. They was well taken care of, and I wish that we could put a lot of resources so, hey, they don't have to play. Those girls been playing year round.
Yeah,
like they have to play in the summer.
Yes,
right.
They have to play year round just to because the crazy thing is Caitlin and Angel took a big pay cut to go to the WNBA. I mean, with all their endorsements
in college,
right? With all their endorsements, they're all right. But just think about the girls who don't have the endorsement.
Right, they don't have it.
$70,000.
Yeah,
for you to be like, that's not that's a lot of money for some people, but in sports realm, it's not a lot.
Well, and they're getting that money during the season, so they have to live on their $70,000.
Just think about that. 3 months you get that. You get that in 3 months. Then the other 9 months, what we gonna do?
You better figure it out.
So.
Yeah, it's again the Angel Caitlin controversy is so contrived. One, they play different positions, but more importantly, they are doing something in the league, scoring, playing defense, rebounding, passing, that's causing people to watch. So for you folks who don't think people are watching because of Angel 2, every time you say her name, it's causing an algorithm to make her more money. So you're watching because of her. Caitlin, you're watching because of her, but enjoy them and the plethora of the women that are in the league. Go ahead, Reg.
Well, I was just going to ask you, Carl, because or Stevie, I don't know if you guys had seen. I thought they were already making one thing. Some people were making comments. I don't know if it, if it was factual or not about how this next game when they play against the Sky, the tickets are tickets are gone now, all cheap or whatever because
48% drop. But again, what's funny? It's not the people that fill the stadiums. It's going to be the ones watching on television. You can only fit so many people in the arena. Whether it be 15,000, 20,000, it's watched on different platforms. That's the difference. So, in fact, I would prefer the tickets not be expensive. Because when I used to go to WNBA games, I loved being able to go for $12, $13. And I'm watching basketball. So the fact that the ticket prices are coming down are good. That's the problem in the NBA. You can't sit courtside. You can't sit 10, 12 rows back without having to pay almost a couple $100. And then to be on the floor, we're talking thousands. So
you're right.
Yeah. So make it affordable so people can fill the stadium, but then put it on television in prime time so we can watch these women play. That's the difference. But yeah, they're already talking about the drop in ticket prices, which is okay because somebody else will buy that ticket. So the arena will be full. It'll just be full for cheaper.
But they were making the knock. They were making the knock that Angel Reese is not a drop.
That's
right.
The reason it's dropped.
Yeah.
But if
I saw a lot of
sells out, who cares? Go ahead, Sloan.
I saw a lot of Angel Reese jerseys. I was so happy, to see people was out there supporting her on Sunday when I went to the game. And I'm like, man, if I get close enough to her, I'm just going to tell her, hey, keep your head up. Keep doing what you're doing. I hope she's got great people in her corner. I hate that our younger generation live on social media because people can be really mean. I can't imagine going through that, what they're going through now. when I was younger. But hey, you're special. You're great too. You're great at what you do. Know that. Give yourself your affirmations in the morning to know that you're great at what you do and you're doing a wonderful job at it. You know, don't listen to if people are just talking down to you, and they're probably not for you.
Yeah.
Don't let that fuel you. Don't let it hinder you.
Anything left to add, Reg?
No, sorry about that.
No, that's good. The dynamic between Clark and Reese encapsulates the evolving narrative of the WNBA, a blend of competitive excellence, cultural resonance, and unprecedented growth. Their individual stories and on-court performance continue to captivate audiences, contributing significantly to the league's rising prominence. Our challenge to you, the casual and avid fan, let's keep the animosity and the tension out of it, and let's celebrate the performance and the competition. Because again, it's just basketball. We don't want it to become anything else off the court. So let's celebrate a women's game that continues to grow. And with that, thank you for being on Carl's Corner today. Thank you, Reggie. Thank you, Stevie. And we'll see you again next time.
Yeah. Thanks.